Hello, hello everybody. I'm very early, I think. I'm going to a dentist, so I don't want to have a gap talking to you. So today this is going to be I don't know, it is hard for me to believe, but it did happen, and I want to pass on my experiences, as you know, because I'm sure it would help somebody else, because we are going through quite a lot at the moment emotionally. Now, it has been written that emotions are the key to consciousness, which is quite the opposite to teachings of many thousands of years ago, when we were supposed to not have emotions, be very much in control and all that business, you know. But it seems that these days the emotions are surfacing, and some of them are pretty devastating. I know I'm a very emotional person, as you can tell, but because of the situation in my childhood and because of what I've chosen, I had to withhold them. I've had to hang on to all my emotions, and as I said before, my heart chakra is was slightly blocked. So the emotional body, we have an emotional and a mental body, as you know, and others of course, but the emotional and the mental for this plane, I think, are the most difficult. The emotional particularly, and for men too, they find it hard. So emotions are the key to getting into they're almost like a bridge, you know. You have to get through that into the other side, you know. I was told many years ago, when I went to a vicar of a local Church of England for some counselling, and he said, it isn't what you feel that matters, it's what you think. I was horrified, because God is about feeling. I do know that without feeling you don't get anywhere near to it. So this is about the healing I did for well, we did for me, on the emotional level, and it was quite an amazing thing, really. So I was just aware that I was building up to I do a lot of internet healing as well, with sound and stuff, and that recent thing with my daughter, I was just aware that I was building up to quite an emotional release. Now, you can either scream and yell, or you can cry, or you can throw things, which I frequently do. No, I'm not as bad as I used to be. So I was aware that this energy was building, and I thought, I didn't know what it was. That's half the problem, I think, is identifying it. Do you remember the story of Rumpelstiltskin, the fairy story, about the girl that was locked in a tower, and she was kept prisoner by this little goblin, and she made her spin for him, and she didn't know who he was, and she was totally in his power. And then one day she found out his name, and when she named him, he disappeared. So this is a bit about naming the emotion. I mean, there are so many, and it is a difficult thing to identify, and sometimes they're all rolled up into one, aren't they? But I knew there was one big thing that I hadn't really dealt with. All of my life I've lost people. I mean, as you get older, of course, the more you lose, but not under very good circumstances, under being blamed, or for stuff I didn't do. It's a lot. I won't go into all that, but more of late, of course, ex-husband and daughter and lovers and whatever. So I fed up with being blamed, and I thought, what is this emotion I'm really feeling I have to get rid of? And of course, it was grief. I mean, that's a big one, isn't it, grief? I mean, I do cry a lot anyway, and it just suddenly got to me that I need to get rid of this, you know. So I've got a beautiful rose quartz crystal here, and I don't use crystals very often, though I do love them. And I thought, I'll just put that on my heart chakra. And I sat with it, watching a television until I got up and it dropped off, and I felt the heat from that. The chakra's about here, as you know, and I just felt, gosh, that's done some good at least. And the following day, I was just sitting in my lounge. I always sit for quite half an hour or so in the morning, just talking to God, talking out loud, all my problems and this, that, and the other. I find it quite healing, actually. And I was suddenly aware that there was this huge, great energy. It was to my right, and I turned to look at it, and it disappeared. I thought, my goodness, that was something powerful. It was powerful. And I think what happened, the healing, the sound healing I'd done, the releasing and all that, it all helps, everything helps. And I think the crystal somehow released that energy that was locked in my heart, because the heart is, I think, to do a lot with grief. If you hold on to grief, it's stuck here, and I think that the crystal kind of released it, but it had to go somewhere. And I found this, it's all very well releasing stuff, you know, and I've only just realised this. I've done a lot of releasing, but where does it go? It has to go somewhere, doesn't it? But I was aware that this has actually left this chakra and was stuck in my aura. And I thought that was, I mean, to be that aware, I'm obviously quite lucky to be that aware. And I thought, well, and all I had to do was to look at it and to name it and to say, you know, go, sort of thing. And it did. I can't tell you the relief I felt afterwards. I felt so much lighter. It was just, wow, you know, all of my life, especially the latter years, I've been carrying that, and I don't need it anymore. And it was everything wrapped up in it. There was nobody in particular. I did wonder whether it was an entity, because it's difficult to get the clarity on that, but I think no, it was an energy, a negative energy, a collective. Because when you've been with somebody, or no matter who, I mean, not necessarily a lover, but relationships, parents, daughters, whatever, you have this very strong bond with somebody. You build up this invisible, it's called a thought form, and it builds up and builds up and builds, and they can be huge. And I think this is why it's so very hard to get rid of stuff, because you can't just get rid of that with a thought or an overnight process. It has to sort of take its time. So I've been trying to get rid of my particular stuff for many, many years, and some of it goes back to childhood, I know that, carrying this, building, and even when you've decided to get rid of it, it hangs about for ages. This is why I think relationships are very hard to end, to break it overnight. You can't, people say, oh, let it go. You can't just let it go just like that with your head, or no, with your feelings even, because this energy is stuck and it needs to be dissipated bit by bit. Otherwise it would be too much for us, I think. I don't know, everyone's different, but for me, I mean, especially with my recent difficulties, my daughter, I think it's taken 30 years, you know, but it's not just getting rid of it, it's realising and naming it, and it often is several things in one, but to name it and to give it a kind of identity, then you know what you're dealing with. Personally, everyone's different, but I'm passing this on because I'm going to check the time before I get carried away. Oh, 7 minutes. Well, that's not too bad, is it? I don't know how long to go on for today. It's I don't know, it's a difficult one, isn't it? And I do love talking about this stuff because I don't, well, it does. I was so surprised actually at how once I started the process, that it is a process. I started with, like, I don't know, dreams, and the Arcturian sound healing is particularly good. Everything needs to get shaken up somehow, and we all find our own methods of healing, don't we? But self-healing is particularly difficult because I've got no one to talk to, so I talk to God a lot. He doesn't mind listening, and you know, I said the other day how proud I was of my efforts, and I think I've got a lot of wonderful beings with me in spirit that are egging me on. But this was a very profound moment. So yeah, I'm not sure to leave it there really, because I know the videos sometimes are too long, and I won't go into what's been happening lately because we've all been through difficulties, haven't we? Especially in the UK, everything's locked down. Can't go anywhere, do anything. I can't go out for coffee. You know, to see somebody, I'm stuck here day in, day out, and it's quite a challenge, isn't it? But I do get through it, and it's funny how it comes in phases. Some days I feel really quite frightened. I wake up in the morning, how on earth am I going to get through the day? You know, because I have been quite ill, as you know, and I'm convinced that this illness, whatever it is, CFS, ME, whatever, I think most illnesses are actually held in the body through emotional stuff, and I think once you start to get rid of them, I think the body will heal. I think it was beloved Joshua, when I was having some healing only recently, I said, why can't you get me well? For goodness sake, you're all masters and healers and angels. come on, get on with it. And the reply was, the body is the last to heal. And so of course it's all these invisible realms and past life stuff and goodness knows what else, you know, that we don't even know what we're dealing with, that has to be cleared first to get out of the body and out of the muscles and out of the nervous system before we can actually feel our body energy is healing itself. That's my experience. I did read there's something on the internet. Gosh, it was a wonderful link that somebody had put on there, how the muscles do absorb a lot of our pain. I mean, emotional pain. And I think this particular illness, which is a muscular thing, and it's holding on to an awful lot of negative energy, because releasing that, I keep doing this. It was like a cloud, a very dark cloud. And just looking at it, I thought, well, gosh, we do have the power to actually challenge these things and give it our gaze, to name it and say, be gone, sort of thing. And I think that's, I must admit, I have had a bit more energy. I drove about 10 miles yesterday to Sainsbury's, my favourite place. I went to Bolingbroke, which is an old castle ruin. I love going there, and I just sat for a while and thought, gosh, I'm not exhausted yet. I've got a bit more energy. Mind you, I'm feeling it today, but it was suddenly this releasing of energy, gave my body a chance to adjust itself into heal. Hopefully it will last until something else comes along, like with dentist, or, you know, there's always a stress, isn't there, around the corner. However, I feel I wanted to share that, because if anyone's really stuck trying to get rid of relationships, energies, emotional stuff particularly, but also mental. It's going to be the mental body, the emotional body, but I think at this particular time we're dealing with a lot of emotions, and I tend to blame myself. You know, I should have done this, should have done that, and all the shoulds and the judgments and all that, you know, and it's nobody's fault ultimately. It just builds up between people, and it is quite hard to get rid of, so don't despair. She says. On that note, I'm going to let you and leave you. It's not a very nice day today. I might go out tomorrow. I've got to go to a dentist. So put my glasses on again to just check the time. 12 minutes. Will I ever take less? I don't know. Anyway, it's just nice to talk to you, and hopefully send you a spark of light, a spark of hope, a spark of whatever that somebody might pick up on. So take care, dear ones. God bless for now. Bye.